I was trying to think of a way to discuss the sufferings of young Werther by Goethe, or Goethe. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Goethe more often, actually. But I was trying to think of how to bring the discussion of this terrific novel, or novella, really. I guess it's an early example of the novella format. It's a short novel, only around 100 pages. Just how to bring it into the fold, as it were, of the literally me category that I discussed in a recent video. And then it just so happened that, I got on YouTube and typed in Werther. I was looking for some discussion about the book itself. What I had seen a lot of, and what you do see a lot of, is discussions of the kind of sensation that the Sorrowings of Young Werther had, the kind of sensation that it created, the ways in which people responded to it, especially young people. It was just such a powerful book, written from the perspective of this very bright, very articulate, extremely sensitive, and very almost hypnotic, almost seductive in his ultimately his despair. Of course, the story ends with young Werther killing himself. I don't think I'm really ruining this for anybody who hasn't read it yet, because this is basically, you would, if you were conversant about the Sorrowings of Young Werther, you would know that it's a story about suicide. But so many read it and were so moved, and so many suicides were in fact attributed to the story, to the book, the novel, the novella, which Goethe wrote at a young age, at the age of 24, that in fact the book got banned in many places because it was seen as just creating this epidemic of suicides for young men. It also became this fashion sensation as well. Young men were dressing in a vest that I guess Werther is described as wearing, and the Werther vest became something that was often seen at around that period of time in what was then, sort of, I guess, proto-Germany. Germany was still a bunch of nation states. The notion of a united Germany was still just an idea at that point. So I wanted to be able to talk about this story as a literally me story that seemed, it's something that's heard about less. For one thing, because it's not a movie, and most of the literally me discussions surround movies of various kinds with a male protagonist who the audience, especially the young male audience, relates to, despite the problems that he's having. In fact, not in spite of, because of the problems that he's having, to a large extent, to a large degree. There's this ability to relate to the character. Hence the literally me label, which is kind of funny because literally, in this case, means the very opposite of literally. No one actually, when he says that Arthur Fleck or Tyler Durden or Travis Bickle or any of these other characters, nobody, when he says those characters are literally him, he doesn't mean that they're literally him. He just means he's, in this case, literally is meant to sort of enhance the emphatic nature of the degree to which one feels a bond with this character. One feels oneself related to this character. One can relate to the character. Okay. So it so happened when I went looking for stuff on Werther that I came across this video, which I will link to below. The video is a lecture delivered by some professor who seems knowledgeable and is probably a nice guy from what I can tell, but who is so horrendously wrong in his assessment of the character of Werther, and also in his assessment of the character of Lotta, but most egregiously in what he has to say about Werther, the character of Werther. And I was so incensed after I watched this video. First, I was just kind of mystified. It kind of snuck up on me. I thought to myself, he must not really be meaning what he's saying, or maybe he's meaning what he's saying about Werther, but it's in some way that it'll eventually come around to being understandable to me as how I understand Werther to be, and how Werther comes across, in the pages of this story. But this professor, in spite of seeming to know literature well, in spite of being highly intelligent and highly articulate, and having all the qualities you would expect a college professor of literature to have, but you would expect him to have it, but you wouldn't necessarily, particularly in our day and age. Your suspicion would be that this would, you'd just come across some hack, mouthing the platitudes of some form of SJWism. This guy doesn't seem to be an SJW, though. He seems to be somebody who is really interested in addressing the text as it stands, and not saying, well, this just shows how sexist the culture was back then, or something like that. But nevertheless, in spite of that virtue, he's so incredibly, horrendously wrong in what he has to say about the character of Werther, that it actually brought out in me the desire to respond. So I wrote a comment underneath, in the comment section of this video, and just about every other comment was just lauding this guy, talking, saying what a great speaker he was, and what he was an inspiration to listen to, and would he talk about this particular text next, or would he cover that text? Very few of the people commenting seem to be interested in the substance of what he was saying about the character of Werther, and none of them seem to be aware of how badly he was just off the mark when it came to Werther, the character of Werther, who he was, what motivated him, what sort of a person he was, what what he valued, you know, all these things were just so far off the mark. Could not have been further off the mark. It was like he had read some other book about some other character named Werther, and then I was hearing him talk about this other book and this other character. There was no relationship to the Werther that I had just read, and that I felt, moreover, that I felt such a bond with. And here's where we get into the literally me category. You know, some of you old timers on my channel who remember my old channel may recall when I addressed what black-pilled the. I mean, I've talked about the black pill and my disdain, my dislike of the black pill, generally speaking. But there's an actual, or there was, I'm not sure if he's still on YouTube, but there was at the time that I recorded this video, there was a content creator that went under the name Black Pilled, and he was talking about how all the people who were into Joker and thought that Joker was such a profound statement about alienation and masculinity and so forth, you know, in our times, in our day and age, how they were all just full of it. And I responded quite vehemently to Black Pilled's assessment of Joker, and I still do think it was just so far off the mark that, you know, it took my breath away, just how off the mark it was. In fact, to me, it seemed like this guy, who of course called himself Black Pilled, it just seemed like he was looking for reasons to piss on the joy that so many of us got from watching the movie Joker and seeing somebody who we felt such a kinship with. And he was just saying, nah, you know, and you bunch of dummies. You know, trying to debunk our response, the way in which we what we felt so much of an attachment to about this character, and why it was so ridiculous for us to feel that way. I think I suspect Black Pill's motivations being just to be a contrarian, or to, you know, the way that some Black Pilled people seem to enjoy operating is just, you know, to be someone who says, you think this speaks to you, but it really doesn't, or you think that you know, you get happiness or joy from this, but I'm going to take that away from you, and I'm going to laugh at you for being so naive to feel the way that you felt about it. This is what I honestly think motivates. This is the kind of, it's just a spiteful quality, you know, a desire to want to take people's enjoyment away from them. I can't really speak for this guy, whose name I don't recall, but again, I'll link him below. And you'll be able to see my comment below that, but I think I will also read my comment here in a future video, just because I think when you talk about this literally me thing, you are talking about a character who really hooks you in, and who you feel this, again, kinship with, or bondage with, or bond with, not bondage, this bond with this character to such an extent that when somebody speaks ill of him, you take it personally. And of course that's silly, because this person who's saying these things doesn't know you. He isn't saying anything about you. But there's something about the fact that he has so grievously misconstrued the character that is so dear to your heart, that you respond in this manner. Now, some might say, well, it's stupid to feel so bonded to a fictional character. But it's not, like it or not, art has an impact upon a person. You respond in one way or another. And it's not a question of should or shouldn't. If you feel a certain way and something that you see speaks to you, then that is art. That is the connection that is made, that is forged through art. Sometimes that connection, comes in other ways besides having a feeling of connectedness to the protagonist. But I think especially when you are struggling with things in life, when you have something that you're striving for, but something is getting in the way of that which you are striving for, and you come across a character who speaks so well, even if he's in completely different circumstances than you, even if he's living in a different era than you, even if he's younger than you or older than you, or different from you in umpteen ways, still the way that this character speaks to your heart really is something that it's not a question of it's like, and again, these people come in, these pedants come in and say, well, actually, this story is not you're not supposed to relate to this character. You're supposed to feel this way about, well, again, it's you respond the way that you respond to things. And when you have, it's not a question of should you or shouldn't you. There's no right or wrong way to respond to art. There is, there's a right and wrong way to interpret art. It doesn't just mean whatever you want it to mean. It's not, I don't I don't sit with a deconstructionist relativist and say that art is just completely open-ended. Of course it's not. But it can mean many different things. There's no one right meaning. There's no one meaning to it. It can mean several different things on different levels. And when a character communicates to you, speaks to you, and you feel a bond and a kinship with that character, then that is a literally me moment. Literally me too. So I'll show you, if you want to see the video, watch it below. It might not mean anything to you because you probably haven't read the book. But read it, but watch it if you want, and look at my reaction to it, my comments on it, which are TLDR. I mean, I go on for a little bit about why I think he's so wrong. So I think that really speaks to what literally me really is all about. So those are my thoughts as I wander through the coastal Georgia woods all by my lonesome. Thanks for watching.